please start.
Okay, I'm starting, right?
Nadia, Adrian.
Are we online? Hello, everybody. My name is Adrian Niculescu. I'm the co-host of the newest online roadshow organized by LA Token. We have very important topics for today regarding what happens in the economic world. We have also two startup pitches, and because everybody is asking himself and people around what's next and what will happen over the next 2 months, I would like to start with questioning the pandemic outcomes. How long, how deep, what will burst, and what will grow? Who wants to start? Sergei, do you want to start answering this question?
Sure. Okay.
Introduce yourself first.
My name is Sergei Filippov. I'm a managing partner of Morphosis Capital Partners. Basically, we do very early stage investments in startups across Southeast Asia, US, Australia, and we help them scale up. I mean, raise their valuations at the next stage. We successfully funded at the seed or Series A round, or we help them ignite. I mean, they can come to us without even the MVP. So we basically help them build this thing. They can come to us with just the idea and the team. And well, that's a good question. Thank you. I mean, yeah, everyone is guessing right now what's going to work in the world after pandemic and what's not working already. I think that many people right now are not yet understood the consequences in terms of the business changes. What I'm talking here right now is we all expect that, for example, in 3-4 months, the activity resumes, and some even people think that they will attend soccer match or a Formula One event, which is not happening actually. So for example, a change that is currently seen that a host of the, or organizers of the big sporting events, such as, for example, Formula One, that went to online. So for example, Formula One, which was never possible before COVID, that they organized online race in Formula One 2019 game by Codemasters. So the real Formula One drivers from the real Formula One competed in online game. And all of you guys should definitely understand that this wasn't possible for, in the world before COVID. Or a second example, VCs told me that right now delivery is happening from Michelin restaurants, right? But before that, Michelin restaurants were not possible to deliver food in, no one expected that to happen in at least 10 years from now. So I think the new emerging possibilities here, everyone talks about, pharma or life science, but we should keep in mind that this is usually 7 to 10 cycle till, you get back your, you maximize your investments. So you need to think of it as a long term. So as for the short term, I think right now what we're seeing already is gaming and esports being, being redone. And for example, luxury fashion as well receives a very important boost to its processes because every, the fashion and is currently went to a halt, the sales. So the question is how the, for example, how the mastercraft that's created the perfect Italian fabric will survive in this case. How they will put the emphasis on what market where it is going to be produced. And in this case, online services, online platforms come to their savior. So I think we are right now guessing which market will grow and which not. But I definitely say that even if we see right now there is no activity, for example, in travel, people definitely resume the travel. So we should expect that, for example, Airbnb, what we might see in this case, well, probably we'll see more, more isolated spaces. Of course, probably the sharing apartment with people from abroad, unfortunately, this trend might die because it might not be available for us for next 1 to 2 years. But what Airbnb might currently, introduce, for example, WeWork already introduced that. The spaces for workplaces are more divided, and they introduce social distancing. So, for example, we might see this as well in Airbnb as well. So, I mean, the trend, the whole industry is staying, but the trends and how they're being introduced are changing.
Thank you very much. I would like to continue with Gary, Mr. Gary Sam. He's the most protected from all of us. Gary just took his mask off. Your mic is muted, Gary, please.
Okay.
And
okay.
The same question about pandemic outcomes: how long, how deep, and what will burst and what will grow.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm now in Asia, in this part of the world. I'm 7 hours ahead of yours, and I think 2 days ago at the also a similar roadshow organized by Eric Token. I think as regards to the group, we see the pandemic as how we can making use of our banking and finance experience and the solidarity and the facilities that we can help how to protect and save lives. It was a fact that because the group ourselves, we are really a multi-billions, and we are not trying to making or profiteering in this market. So I think unlike any other major institutions around the world, that they try to how to make the best profits out of it, or what are the best investment opportunities. But for the group itself, in good faith, we want to really help some of the enterprises how to protect and save lives. And also, and of course, I did mention about, we are involved in some humanitarian programs. We are not just, in a nutshell, we are not just kind of doing philanthropy. Say, to be more specific, I can quote you 2 examples what we have been doing. Because as we see for the next at least 2 or 3 years, it will be a new normal, a new reality, a new world for the world under the pandemic. So I want to call you 2 examples what we have been doing. Over the last 3 months, we want to bridge between the East and the West for the medical supplies. Although it is not our core business, we are not trading it for huge profit. But what exactly we are doing is we want to provide billions US dollars worth of our facilities so that we can actually monetize the SBLC that will be issued from the West, in particular like US or UK, in order for them that they can actually procure successfully for the medical supply in Asia and also China. So, as the chairman of the board, in fact, I've already mobilized at least $2 billion US dollars of the facilities, based, just in Asia, so that we can actually help the protecting lives, saving lives, This is something that we have been doing. And second is that we are also very into the humanity in particular for the underprivileged countries like Latin America and Africa. And in fact, in particular for 2 particular countries in Africa that we are already, trying to help them out. I'm not trying to say all these in a very high-sounding fashion. The pandemic. I'm a 27 years banker, Swiss banker, and also investor. and I have been taking him of the group for over 10 years. From a relatively small enterprise to now multi-billion US dollar asset ownership group. And we are fairly privately held and private. We want to do something for the good of all mankind. We want to do something good for them. So the second point I want to make is that in recent months, a lot of different pitches to the group and also for me personally. But of course, the bottom line is that we want to, the sectors like healthcare, medical, and also those technologies that can actually bridge the social distance. Say, these kind of themes are those that we want to involve in this kind of pandemic over the next 2 or 3 years. We want our money to be well spent. I'm sorry that maybe some of the panelists and the speakers here, you're involved in the e-sports or the gaming or the leisure, tourism. Sorry, I have no interest at all, because we want to protect lives. We want to save lives. And given my political connection and also the strength and the capability of the group, we want to do something good for the mankind. So in a nutshell, over the next 2 or 3 years, what will our capital be spent? I called you one example already. We really want to bridge the gap between the East and the West, because there's a vast difference between the way how they want to make the payments, so that we have to bridge it. The way how they see about China and Asia, there is a big difference. And there's a big difference in culture, a big difference in language. So in that respect, we want to do a little bit, in order as a bridge. The second examples that I want to quote to you is, apart from the humanitarian program, is we really want to invest into, as I mentioned, the healthcare, some want to call it big healthcare, medical technology, etc. In fact, one of our region pitches, personally to me, on a sovereign level, is that there is some research institute that they really are doing research and the development of the vaccine that will be helping lives, that will be saving lives, protecting lives. So that's why on the immediate level, we want to bridge the gap between East and West for how we can bring about the relevant medical supply to the needy, for the needy countries. But on the medium to longer term, we will be investing heavily into including like vaccine. We want to, people say that, the vaccine will not be coming up at least in the 3rd quarter or the 4th quarter or even later. We want to do certain investments. This is solid investments. So those kind of investments are the paradigm of investing in this kind of vaccine technology, etc. It is not about making quick money out of our capital. We can easily mobilize hundreds of millions or even billions in cash or in facilities in kind. We can do that, but we are not trying to making a profiteering in this kind of pandemic. So that's why, among all the panelists, I see like GE and et cetera. I know people from GE, et cetera. I know some people from GE Capital also around. We see a lot of capital firms around, but just like 2 years ago, 2 days ago, when I talk about in the panel that we really look for, the projects with a passion, with a human touch, how they really do good for people around the world. So that's why this is also one key paradigm, whether it's for me as a chairman of the board or also all our directors. We hope to really do something good for the world. And of course, for us, and also, of course, later on, we'll also see a lot of projects around pitching. I want all the pitchers. You're not just asking for money. You have to understand what is in it for the investor, or what is in it for the group or for myself to get involved, whether in terms of resources, whether it's the capital-wise, or whether the connections, et cetera. And of course, on the other hand, we will also not scrutinizing the pitches, but we will also think about how to scrutinize ourselves, how we can help you. So, this is the paradigm that I'm involved in this kind of online roadshow. Typically, I never involved in this kind of online roadshow. My directors will be doing for me. But I think at this particular pandemic time, in order to protect lives, in order to save lives, I'm looking forward to the pitches that are really precisely to the point of how to protect lives, how to save lives. What are you doing good for mankind instead of making quick money? Okay, this is about a bit sharing for the moment. Okay, let's move on for another picture. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. Can we move to Andy, please? By the way, I believe we could speak for 2-3 days about those subjects. And I don't think that we'll have time for the second question, which would be, are there investors seeking counter-cyclical startups? So maybe you can add one idea about that. But first, let's focus on the most important subject. In your opinion, what will burst and what will grow? So please, Andy.
Hi everyone. I'm in Singapore right now. I am Intergovernmental blockchain advisor for Asian Productivity Organization, and I'm also the chairperson for Descent Foundation, a blockchain company that started in 2015, and we have real sustainable businesses since 2015 until now. In my view about the pandemic, I do see and hear and feel how Gary is sharing his experience with all of us. But I think this pandemic is going to last for quite a while, or maybe I would say quite a long while. Many businesses would be in trouble if they are not fast enough to change their current business model. I think Adrian, before the start of the session, he asked about, what would happen to some of the typical consumer habits that is going away, after this pandemic times, But I see it a very different manner because right now, at this current moment, during the pandemic period, a lot of the businesses are trying to innovate and trying to change their business model. And when they try to change their business model, they are actually looking at a greener pasture that would maybe later on after the pandemic bring them more revenue. So my take is this: a lot of companies right now who are into the medical field, or into the medical supply field, they pop up so rapidly. In the past week or so, as a private investor myself, I have already heard about 6 pitches just last week, and a lot of them are very idealistic, and many of them would need a lot of funds to push this idea through. So usually I will ask them, you should look for Elon Musk, or maybe look for Gary, in these aspects, because a lot of all these projects are not really in line with the reality. If we are here to look at the vaccine, putting a big money into it, look at the efficacy, look at the long-term research route, I think it has a big value. But a lot of these smaller startups or projects that has converted themselves into a more tech play right now, they are all trying their very best to survive, and I don't see that moving forward too quickly. So let me just summarize a bit on what I think would be good for the current times. I think gaming would be a good industry to look at, medical, online services, and also technology that will help in the years down the road. Something maybe even like a blockchain that looks at traceability, tracking, would actually help in the long run, how you could track down pandemic or viruses happening, something as big as COVID-19 right now. So all this technology and all these companies should start to look at how they can innovate and where they can get their money, right now. Many people still talk about, going into China, getting funds and so forth. I ask them, is this really the right way to do it? Because you need to have a solution that is a lot better than how the Chinese and my Hong Kong friends are thinking. Because in terms of technology, food ordering, and so forth, they are way more advanced to places like Singapore or even Sergei in Thailand. So I think in order for companies to survive, they got to innovate, and they have to innovate a lot harder than before. So to see a brighter future after the pandemic, maybe in a year's time or so.
Thank you very much. Can we go along with Massimiliano, please?
Hi, Max is fine. My name is too long, I understand. I thank you for spelling perfectly well. I mean, in my opinion, I'm the founder and managing director of HSMI. We are M&A, private equity, and venture capital boutique. So we do from mentor advisory and fundraising almost worldwide, from Singapore, Hong Kong, mainly, of course, UK and Europe, because that's where we are, and US. We are raising our first venture capital fund, but we started beginning of the year, but now things are getting a bit more tougher, so probably we end up closing, hopefully by the end of the year, with this size between 20, 50 million early stage fund. We are pretty much agnostic anyway. I'm an angel. I'm not doing any angel investment now because, again, I'm fully committed to raise our fund. When it comes to how long, how deep, in my opinion, it's going to be long. I don't think I've been talking and listening V-shaped, U-shaped recovery. I don't think so. I think it will last until we find a vaccine. In the UK, we have Imperial College, they're just starting now. They actually start in June, the trial. We have Oxford University, they start, right now they start. But it will take 6 months at least. So before it's going to be produced for a massive production, we take a year. So we are not going to finish this problem until the end of the year. I'm not that optimistic like US president. We disappear. I don't think so. We disappear, and we stay with us for a while. So we need to keep working. We need to keep moving, and we need to keep safe distance and doing what we can do the best. So, and again, when it comes to startup, in my opinion, they are not going to be a sector that is going to be bust. The problem is how much cash they have. Because yes, everyone should innovate, and everyone has to innovate regardless, COVID or not, because we know technology, apps go digital, and I think everyone should go digital because this is next, and you can miss it. Now, because COVID, you need to do much faster. How fast you can go, it depends how big is your pocket. If you want to turn your business, you don't have enough cash, you can't turn your business. That's the problem. So I think a lot of startups that are going to be bust, yes, because they don't have enough cash. And if you go out now, you fundraise, you will see many VC holding. Why they hold? Of course, if I invested already in 10 startups, I need to take care of them. So I can't go out and give money to someone else. So that's the problem. So even if you have the best technology, but you don't have enough money, you can't twist your technology. And this is my biggest concern, because I think there are very good startups out there, not well funded, not because they're not good, but because we know perfectly not everyone get the money they deserve. And again, this guy, maybe they will go bust for sure. And it depends very much, if you have enough money to move to the next step. And of course, go digital, because this is where everyone should go. I do agree with Sergei. I don't believe travel will go bust, but now it's 80% down. So how long can you keep your business surviving 80, 90% down in sales? You can't do that. It's very challenging. I remember when we started, we said, okay, this 1 month, and we start again, let's keep funded, let's pay payrolls, and that's it. This is not going to happen again. It's I am very concerned, yes, I am, but on the other side, we need to move. We need to keep moving. So counter-cyclical startup. I mean, as an investor, I was thinking more, you know what? Outside, there are many startups. They are still very good. The team is there. The technology is there. Everything is there. This should be the startup you need to look for. No, the one they do not have enough cash, but with the cash they can do very well. More than counter-cyclical, I would say startup. They are still there. All the fundamentals are there. They only need money. That's it. This is my. I mean, of course, this is my thoughts. And yeah, but pretty much this is what we are doing, in my opinion.
Thank you very much. And Maher, please.
Hi, how are you? So
Very
I'm
well, how are you?
Chief Innovation Officer for Digital Solutions at GE General Electric. So these are the things I would see. Actually, I can classify them in 5 points that are the domains where I will believe that there will be a lot of investments due to the crisis. So the first thing is the digital. It has been said by the previous speakers. Digital will be crucial, will be everywhere, and every company will be asking themselves, is there like an alternative to doing things physically? So if I take a plant, so remote operations, monitoring and diagnosis in a plant without having people on site, how we can supervise what happens in the plants. Typically, we will learn a lot from the critical businesses. For example, in nuclear, you cannot have people all around and so on. A lot of things have been automated in nuclear, and we will have that in normal businesses when people, for example, are confined. If I take a simple example of organizing physical events as well, alternative is virtual events. It's like the event we are having today. Any other way of communication, e-services. Estonia, for example, in Europe is very much advanced in e-services. You can have an e-citizenship, like Obama got an e-citizenship from Estonia, like the Pope and so on, where everything is done electronically. And then in terms of interaction with the providers for procurement or with the customers, solutions around procurement using digitalization or sales in terms of digital sales, digital marketing will be more and more needed. So the customers would have to put in place things where without meeting your customers, you can still do campaigns, you can still go far away in the sales cycle, that at the end you can almost conclude the transaction without meeting. And we have systems like that, for example, stores, store centers where you put application, people can download them and can use them. Robotics will be very much developed because you need to produce. If you need to produce masks and all kind of materials, and people cannot go intensively in the plants, so you need robotics for that. And UAVs for inspection, for example, drones. So digitalization will be more important than ever. And every company which is not thinking about their plan of digitalization in the future will be making a big mistake today. Second is solutions like environment, health, and safety that we call EHS. So these are mandatory in critical businesses. If you are working in a chemical, in petroleum, in nuclear, EHS is mandatory. Tomorrow it's going to be everywhere. So even a restaurant should have an EHS solution. Everywhere should justify that these processes of social distancing, of tracing things, of cleaning things, and you are taking care of the employees are there. Third point is new business models. So how we can, in terms of taking care, for example, of the citizens, of the people, follow the whole life cycle of health of the citizens, citizen health life cycle management, from analyzing, monitoring, making diagnosis, treating them, follow up on them. And this is why the connection of the different systems between the pharma, the hospitals, the clinics, for example, and the governmental health services is highly needed. You need to communicate information between all these systems. interoperability of these systems is needed, and this is going to be a key point as well. Number 4 is the supply chain. Today, a lot of countries are struggling because they don't know if they can buy masks from China on time, if there is enough materials, for example, medical materials, and how they can procure, for example, they can if they can still manufacture during these tough times. So it's all of that's called supply chain management. That has nothing to do with medicine or healthcare. A lot of the problems we are facing are not health related. Yes, there is the virus. Yes, there are a need for creating vaccines, but we are facing a big problem where countries that are not well equipped in management systems and supply chain management, companies not equipped properly with supply chain management, are struggling. Probably Germany is very advanced in these kind of solutions, and they have been struggling much less, planning much less and reacting also, planning more and reacting more as well. And every company should look at the plan B for sovereignty. So how tomorrow you can get everything that you need on your land, on your territory. And if we are not traveling anymore, if we cannot get things from Asia, for example, how you can, as a plan B, manufacture with having a full control of your supply chain. And the last point, number 5, is decision support. We are struggling on taking decisions because a lot of factors are uncertain. So this is why the investment in simulation solutions, predictive analytics are highly needed. There is one application that Bill Gates, for instance, has funded, which is called IMHE, which is predicting, for example, the health cases, the diseases, the shortage in the hospitals, and so on. But that prediction would be everywhere. And then if I give the image of the cockpit in a plane, the pilot has a very sophisticated system in a plane, taking the whole data of speed, pressure, and so on to navigate properly his plane. Countries will have to have these kind of cockpits in the future. That means they need to have a lot of data about the economy, about the industrial segment, about the services, about what if I close the restaurants, what would happen, for example, in my country. So all these decision support tools would be straightforward if there is a cockpit like this developed that can help companies on one side and corporates on the other side as well to take decisions. So these are the 5 domains I would see as the domains of investments for the future.
Thank you very much. Can we go ahead with Christos?
Afternoon, everyone. Always nice to go last. What an amazing world view. I think you've got an intergovernmental panel sitting right here, and I just wish that some people in perhaps slightly higher positions were listening to these kind of discussions. Obviously, for me, very exciting. I'm a creative director. I'm a startup business mentor with a particular interest in blockchain. My interests are very, very wide-ranging, and I can't help but agree with everything and endorse everything that everyone said so far. And it's great to hear that there's such a wide view, because obviously everyone's bringing their own speciality. I think what Gary said about bridging East and West in terms of supplies is, I think it's uppermost in everyone's mind, and it's a great thing. I think we're looking in an area where we suddenly have clear skies. I think people will wake up to a new paradigm, which has been burgeoning for a long time. Agile businesses are going to survive, agile business plans. And for me, with a kind of evangelical interest in blockchain, I just see opportunity everywhere with this particular crisis occurring right now. I feel like we've kind of in one way missed a golden opportunity, because some of these projects could have been built over the last few years and be up and running, particularly in terms of procurement. Blockchain, particularly excellent use case for any kind of recording of the movement and ownership of goods and services. And I think that's something that we're going to see emerge very, very quickly. I think the other interesting things far out up in the stratosphere, I know particularly that there's a couple of issues in the UK. It was long held that there was a dream that we could give up agriculture and import all of our food, which to me seemed fanciful at best, and I think is now being very, very rapidly reevaluated. This country is producing 60% of its own food, and I think countries are will start to look at home production, but also I think in terms of nanotechnology and advanced fabrics, advanced materials. I know particularly again here around the Oxford University, Cambridge University science communities, there's a lot of excitement about new materials, and I think in terms of the basic problems we're facing with PPE, I think there has to be a shift in producing much better equipment, fabrics, technology that not only help prevent the spread of viruses, but can also self-cleaning in terms of clinics. I think that's all really, really interesting. But at the very, very kind of down-to-earth level today, I see the who's going bust. Anyone who's not agile, anyone who doesn't have an agile plan, anyone who is not, you know, putting digital services front and center of the business. To me, the new paradigm, I've been, like a lot of people I know, hey, I've been working at home on lockdown for years. It's not much different to me. And it's great to see that online homeworking at last has finally broke through as a mainstream activity. And, you know, we're not just dancing in the dark like weird nerds. This is it. And I think from now on, we can start to see a huge drop off in business travel, which I think is welcome. It's killing the planet. We've got, as I say, clear skies at the moment. And I think that obviously technologies like Zoom, this event today is a perfect example of the winners in terms of bringing people forward. The one thing we do have in a pandemic, any crisis situation, is the internet. And obviously the internet's killer application, as far as I'm concerned, is blockchain. I've worked with a few blockchain projects as a consultant over the last year or two, very, very exciting projects. And I think they do have some very, very interesting alternatives to offer in terms of what blockchain generally offers, factors in terms of scale, pricing, scalability, much, much tighter security, and a much, much lower footprint. And I think there's one in particular that kind of I keep thinking about, which is the Seychart's Open Crypto Trust Project, which is a blockchain platform. They've come up with 2 killer apps, and one of them is called BAAT, Blockchain as a Transport. They've very cleverly worked out how to use the internet's infrastructure, public domain, to create hyper-encrypted tunnels, which is a far better solution than VPN. Now, I can see that taking off immediately because so many people are working at home, logging into corporate systems with sensitive data. That's going to be a huge takeoff. And I think anything that is in that kind of online services area is a very welcome help to people who are working at home. I think there's also another blockchain defined high video bandwidth streaming platform, OnLive. They've been going for quite a while now, but you can see that having a decentralized and distributed way of organizing high bandwidth video data provides very, very low cost, high quality transmission, which is what we need. Obviously, the video quality that we've got today is sufficient for an online conference. It's not up to the standard of executive board meetings yet. So I think there's a lot of growth there, and I think businesses like nature, in terms of evolution, when there's a species extinction, we have adaptive radiation. So I think what you will see is a lot of new ideas come out. Amazing, you know, going back to the very start of the discussion, Michelin starred, you know, restaurants doing home delivery is unthinkable, but needs must. And I think where needs must, there's some really interesting opportunities. I think logistics and procurement are two very, very important areas that we need to look at for the next year or two. Obviously, again, blockchain is a perfect partner for improving logistics with projects like ShipChain. And I think in terms of things like Farmer Trust, which was set up specifically to be able to track the legitimacy of pharmaceutical products from batch to consumer. I think as we go through the next year or two, these projects will actually come to the front. We've got 73 international projects working on a vaccine. I think open source projects that bring this data together into common areas of usage are what we could really do with right now. So for me, it's very exciting. There's a million different opportunities. I always like to see the opportunity. Yes, we're in a difficult position. I don't think it's going to be a U-shaped recovery. It's going to be a long, drawn-out, recurring set of W's. And I think, you know, it's easy to forget that we're also going through a climate crisis. So the very last thing I'd like people to take away from this, and I think perhaps this is something Gary would be interested in. I long thought that, say, for example, UN World Food Aid, okay, hundreds of millions of dollars per tranche. Those kind of programs need to look at blockchain for distribution, because using blockchain, you can actually tighten up the trail, the paper trail, and I think eventually reduce to almost zero the amount of money that drains out of the system. And I think, again, that's going to come to the fore. So I'm usually the wild card. I think the machine economy is one of my big interests. Something I was talking about at London Blockchain Week, which only had half capacity because of the COVID crisis, which was about going back to the start of April. We talked about the machine economy and the fact that automation, machine-to-machine transactions are going to start to take over human transactions. I think that's where to look out for if you're an investor and you're interested in where the next 5-10 year innovation is. It's in the beginnings of the machine economy. So I would suggest everyone have a really deep root into that.
Thank you very much, Christos, and thank you all the panelists and my today's co-moderator, Adrian Niculescu. And I would also address this question to you, Adrian. What are your current opportunities you see emerging in the current situation, and what is in your investment focus?
I will be very fast. I believe that the winners will be the ones who will add most value possible, making what they are selling a no-brainer, both for B2B and for B2C. I'm spending most of my professional time between Romania and UK. And in Romania, for example, we realized that we don't have a manufacturer. We need to produce a lot of stuff locally. And fortunately, a part of the industry was reinvented during these days. So they started to produce things which usually are imported from China, like masks or other stuff. I will give two examples from UK. So first, my favorite mass market brand, clothing brand is Primark, and I always love to shop from their outlet on Oxford Street. And after 22nd of March, they sales went from 650 million pounds a month to zero, because they didn't have an e-commerce backup. So I believe that e-commerce is one of the industries which will be the winner, because people will continue buying clothes, and if they can't go to a shop, for sure they can buy them online. Also, I saw that Richard Branson, which is my favorite entrepreneur, has huge problems with Virgin Australia just went to administration, and it's expected a bail of Virgin Atlantic. So those companies, I believe, should rethink in the next 10 years the financial blueprint, and I would say like scaling without having solid reserves for the next 6 to 12 months, which may be seen as an utopia, but I would look at that. And also, I believe that the negative value of the barrel oil will push the development of the electric cars. So this would be my main observations regarding this period. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Adrian, and thank you all the investor panel participants. We have 7 judges today, and we'll start our pitch competition now. We have 3 projects to go with Sergei Sasorin, the founder of CryptoSoul, Jeffrey Liu, founder and CEO of Xampool, and Adam Mocha, president of the Polish Institute of Medical Expertise. And I pass the floor to Sergei now. Sergei, you have 5 minutes to go with your pitch presentation, and all the judges, they have their evaluation forms to fill in and then pass on to our host of today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm starting. I want to present a company. It was founded 2.5 years ago, CryptoSoul. It's a bridge between 68 billion mobile game industry and crypto economy. And we are crypto game studio. So we develop games, and our main product is this game Merge Cats. This is our 3rd game. And it was launched 1 year ago, on 10th of April, 19 year ago. It launched, and what is our competitive advantage is, so basically we are just traditional game, but our competitive advantage is that our player can withdraw his earned or both hard currency to his wallet, so he have a value. And our competitive is say mobile idle games. And you can I want to show you about market is very competitive. It's 68 billion total. Is 45% of total gaming industry for now. It's mobile growing very fast. And you can for really our main aim in the game is to create addictive game. So we want to come back, the players come back, and we work and we are creating features to increase retention rate. So our retention rate for now is 50% day 1, day 7 20, and day 30 is around 10%. So it's success is basically 80%. You have to focus not about crypto technology, because it's no one popular crypto games. No one. So players don't care. Players want to create, want to play in good game. And by our stats, 60% of players withdraw on his currency to his own wallet, so they can take it from the game. And it's about our metrics. 1 year ago, we had around 1,200 daily DAO, daily online. For now, we have around 5.5 thousand. So it's increased 4 times for 1 year. And we have 100% organic traffic. It's depending on ASO optimization and a little bit SEO, but ASO mostly, of course, because it's mostly in Google Play. Yes, and some metrics, we have active installs for now 21,000. It's active installs for last 30 days. And we also, from last month, we implemented some features, and for now we're focusing to increasing IRPPU. So it's worked successfully. So I'm focusing to I'm consulting with different game designers, and I'm consulting also with my team to implement some features, and it's worked. But firstly, you have to. It's about free to play any application. You have to focus firstly to retention, because if a player if your user never come back, so you cannot sell anything. So and it's some stats financial of for its lifetime sellings, and it's like by months, so it's increasing. And for really, I see this funnel total. It's not stopped just in the game. So we also in developing own wallet, own crypto wallet, and for now we promoting crypto wallets for free, almost free. Almost free. It's like MetaMask, I know Atomic, Maher wallet, you know, all of this. So and for really, I think it's funnel can we developing by creating own wallet, so it should work better. So that's why we're a bridge between gaming and crypto, because our about 65% of users never used crypto. They just play games, and then they realize that they can withdraw, right? And they learning step by step. We following them step by step how to withdraw, how to create wallet. It's very clearly and simple to do it with us in our project. So, and we focusing to simplify most of the things. That's why we're creating and wallet. And for now, we also Merge Cats is casual game. It's a game mechanic like 2038. Maybe you have played this popular game. And but I think we cannot fully realize our potential, because we also have created a core game. It's battle royale game. Maybe you heard. And why? Because it's more complicated. There is player can have PvP battles, so it's more competitive, and will be big tournaments and leaderboards. It's totally it's more competitive than casual game, you know. And even by stats from App Annie from last year, is 54% of revenue in RPG, so it's core game, and casual game you get just 18%. So casual games, yes, it's popular, but it's more future in another game that we developing.
Your time is up.
Okay, yes, I've already finished. So yes, we have raised private sale for this game, and first phase is finished already. That's all. That's all what I wanted to present. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Jeffrey here. I guess I'm next up based on the agenda. Can I just confirm with you guys, can you see my screen? Can you just go like this if you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right then, now I'll begin right away. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff, and I am the co-founder of Zenpool. We are a fintech infrastructure company that makes sending money and cryptocurrencies across the world faster, cheaper, and lower risk by automating traditional payment methods and by using high liquidity cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies were actually invented to reduce the number of intermediaries in finance. But ironically, in the current state, the people who want to buy and sell these assets have to contend with a lot of intermediary processes like FX brokerage, wire transfers, custodians, trading fees, and withdrawal fees. Now, all of these processes add additional middleman between the buyer and seller, forcing most of these people to have to pay higher fees, waste more time, and take unnecessary risk. So to solve this problem, me and my co-founder, we redesigned how local currency to cryptocurrency transactions ought to be processed. We custom built our own financial infrastructure that can instantaneously settle transactions in a peer-to-peer manner without taking custody of our customer assets. So the reason we can do this is because we actually work closely with our group of now over 200 curated liquidity peers. These are the people you find on the right side here, who provide liquidity directly to our Zanpool network by giving us API access into their local payment methods. So in Hong Kong, this would be Alipay and FPS. In Singapore, this would be PayNow. In India, this would be UPI. And our software can essentially monitor and trigger transactions to and from these accounts that they have automated with our software. Now, our liquidity peers are prime brokerages, crypto funds, and individuals who are willing to hold both their respective local currency and cryptocurrency on their books and then earn fees on them. So our business model is super simple. We charge a transaction fee for all transactions that go through Zanpool. Each converted user roughly earns us 42 USD annually. And we expect this number to rise as Zanpool expands our services into the different verticals that I will touch briefly on later. Now, because of our architecture, our transactions don't actually have any costs associated with them. Just ask yourself, how much does it cost to send an Alipay transaction? Or how much does it cost to send a PayNow transaction in Singapore? And the answer is it's free. And because of this, our costs will always be lower than our competitors that require middleman services like custodians to service their customers. I would even go as far as to say that we offer the customers the best of all worlds. We give them the good rates of high liquidity exchanges. We offer them the instantaneousness of ATMs and the versatility of payments of traditional peer-to-peer marketplaces. Now, right now, Zanpool is fully operational in these countries with these payment methods that we have built our own custom APIs on top of. And within the next 6 quarters, we will be fully functional in the top 20 economies on the Eastern Hemisphere. Now, while we are expanding into these different jurisdictions, while we are doing this, we're actually also going to expand our product offerings. So we started out as a company that has built the lowest cost possible way of processing local to cryptocurrency payments. And this infrastructure has currently already been integrated into the largest cryptocurrency exchanges. Think OKX, Bithumb, Binance, MXC, wallets like Blue Wallets, and even decentralized applications. Now, the thing is that this infrastructure is actually not only applicable for local currency to cryptocurrency processing, but it's also applicable to traditional online merchant payment processing. So imagine an Indian merchant in India being able to accept Hong Kong dollars with FPS, while he himself will get paid Indian rupees through UPI directly into his Indian bank account within a few minutes. Now, we've already signed partnership agreements with a company called WADS, which is a Southeast Asian e-commerce software provider, to include our payment gateway into their 20,000 online shops that their software powers. And one of our existing investors is a founder of Lazada. So he's committed to bring our payment solution, once built and tested, onto the Lazada platform, giving us access to over 50,000 more online Southeast Asian merchants. So the team is led by myself as the CEO and my co-founder Artem as the CTO. We're both very technical co-founders, so we know how to build these kinds of financial platforms securely and scalably. We also have a track record of being able to grow small B2C startups into highly valuable and profitable companies for our shareholders. So in the last 4 quarters, we were able to, in our last 4 quarters of operations, we acquired over 25,000 transacting customers. We signed service agreements with the largest businesses, B2B2C companies in the space. Last month, we did over $5 million USD of GTV, and we're growing at a monthly rate of around 20% minimum. Now, right now, Zenpool is actually right in the middle of closing our pre-A round of financing. We are raising at most $5 million USD at a $20 million pre-money valuation. Our lead investor has already been secured, and it's a Hong Kong public company. They are deploying $2.5 million USD this round. And we have follow-on investors such as Hashkey and Shata Capital who are deploying $1 million USD a follow-on. So right now, we're in the process of actually drafting the shareholder agreements, the subscription agreements, and the round is expected to close before the end of May. So with that said, thank you guys very much for taking the time. If you would like to be in touch, I will drop my contact information in the chat. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We also, I would like to introduce you to our next project. It's Adam Mucha, CEO and International Accelerator of Telemedicine Technologies, and he will introduce his projects. So Adam, you have 5 minutes to go. Please start.
Hi everyone. My name is Adam Mucha. I'm the CEO at International Accelerator of Telemedicine Technologies and the Polish Institute of Medical Expertise too. And this institution carries out medical expertise for the needs of common cards. Telemedicine is also needed there because in Poland, the original documents are currently being sent directly to experts. And these documents sometimes get lost. This is a very dangerous situation for people interested in a positive outcome. That is why telemedicine is a completely natural direction. And that is why we want to implement innovative solutions, including tokenization, blockchain technology, and artificial intelligence. And,
are you sharing any slides? I don't see it.
Okay. Is everything okay?
Yes.
Okay. So the Medicash project is the complete solution that allows not only to decentralize the exchange information between the patients and the medical institutions, but also to adapt functionalities that are currently in the greatest demand. Possibility of the remote treatment of civilization diseases and unlimited mobile exchange information between patients and a medical institution, and adapting neural networks to diagnose the potential risk of disease for patients. And the telemedical project is a construction based on 3 pillars. The first one is the blockchain network, which ensures the centralization of data exchange, preventing their unauthorized modifications, as well as accelerating administrative processes. The second pillar is the possibility of using neural networks to diagnose the potential risk of the disease for patients. And third and the last pillar is the effect of reflections of the effectiveness of some therapeutic solutions. And I'm talking about behavioral therapy. And if any form of therapy consists in transmitting suggestions, them being similar to information, and it is possible to adapt this as a mobile solution. And how does it work? Firstly, the medical entity enters the data into the system, and then an identifier is created, and anonymized data in the form of universal codes goes to the blockchain network. The user has access to the key and additionally use the modules contained into the application. And if he wants to use another medical entity, he sends his access key, and the medical entity immediately obtains updated medical history, which is constantly analyzed by artificial intelligence. And our company is concentrated to telemedicine, employing professionals from fields essential for the nature of the market. want to merge into the one entity that will to distribute telemedicine solutions dedicated to people who care about prevention of health, as well as B2B clients such as clinics, hospitals, and the pharmacies. This entity also will be a superior in the field of running vMediHash system. And what about our team? We are leading representatives of telemedicine in Poland formed our team. There are academic lecturers, as Roman Kowal, Professor Wojciech Bykowski, who's also CEO at Polish Society of Telemedicine and eHealth. Lawyers, economists, programmers, scientists, our staff, along with partners institutions associated with them, will enable effective distribution of Planet telemedicine solutions. And the major focus of response efforts by governments and healthcare organizations globally is to prevent and contain the threat of COVID-19. We think our project will be helpful with that. We use neural networks, blockchain technology, and use tokenizations. We are also specialists of raising European funds. The Poland is in the European Union, so we have a possibility to raise these funds for research and development processes. And I have only five minutes, so that's all from me. That now, if you want to contact me, read more about this project, you can find the information on our website, and I also can send all the informations via LinkedIn or via my mobile phone.
Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you. And we have our judges filling in their evaluation forms, and now we are passing the floor to our Q&A panel. So I will ask each of the investor panel participants to give a feedback on today's projects, and maybe if you would like to address some questions, we also have a bit of time for that. So I would start with Adrian.
So my favorite project was the second one, because I see that it solves a major problem. And even I asked the founder if this could be launched in Romania, for example. The second one is the MedTech one, which has an impressive team. It wasn't very clear, the business model, so maybe I will receive the pitch via email to study it in detail. And the first one is in a huge niche, the gaming niche, which is very competitive, but somehow it looks like an unlimited one. So this is my my top three regarding the projects.
Thank you so much. And Andy? Can you unmute yourself? Yep.
Yep, sorry. I heard the three pitchings. Personally, I think the last presentation on telemedicine can relate a lot better in terms of how they are going to execute their business. But again, because of the short presentation, I do not really hear the gist of it, but I do see that there are some good potential. As for Zenpool, I have a couple of questions in mind. I left a message, saying that one of their partner, wards payment, they have a 20,000 merchant. I'm just asking, is where are the merchants coming from? Is it from Vietnam, or is it in Singapore? Because I have my connections with them as well. So there's some thoughts behind this, and some teething questions in terms of how the liquidity is going to be like, for a project like Zenpool. But I do believe that right now, at this current moment, with the COVID running around, the need for crypto and fiat transactions are actually rampant right now. So I do see that project is also going well. And it's for the last and the first project on gaming. I think like Adrian has said, this is a very competitive ground, and it's not going to be very easy if their business model is what was presented. This is my 1 cent worth.
Thank you very much, Andy. And Massimiliano?
Here we are. I agree, this second one to me is the best one. Very clear and understandable pitch, very well done. And I do believe, I'm a big fan of payments and a big fan of people can share between and switch between fiat and crypto. And I do believe the less the transaction will cost, the better can be in terms of profitability, in terms of volume of transaction done. Anyway, overall, it's very, very well done pitch. And actually, I would like to have the deck as well. Gaming, it's just extremely crowded, overcrowded place. And I can't see, I'm sorry, but any value proposition and why at least for now, should succeed, because there are too many players out there, very, very big. So it's very difficult to compete because you need a lot of money. And especially if you create the games, it's absolutely costly and, takes time. And again, you have a very huge competition. The last one, how to say, the pitch is not clear. And if you had 2 minutes pitch or 5 minutes pitch, you need to be very good in pitching, because pitching is everything. In VC, they receive 2, 3, 4, 5,000 pitch per year. So if you're not clear, it's going to be a nightmare. The team seems to be very good. And it's absolutely, the value proposition is great, because I do believe we need to use blockchain and we need to use the best way to share data and protecting the data as well. But again, I don't understand that much. And if I can see the deck, will be better. And I don't have a clear picture how big is the market, and I have no idea how this service can be monetized and create revenue. That's it.
Thank you very much, Massimiliano and Christos.
Yeah, hang on, am I on? Mic on? Yeah, 3 very, very interesting pitches, 3 very interesting sectors as well. I think all sectors that are very active and great use case for blockchain. I thought personally my interest it would be in Medihash, but I'd agree with Max, not a very clear pitch. And I think if you can clarify that pitch and let's see the value proposition, that's a really, really interesting, very, very fertile area. Some of my favorite blockchain projects are in medicine, and I think they offer huge advantages. I thought Zanpool was great. Anything that improves the payment fiat to crypto system is a winner. It already seems to have traction, very well organized, and more importantly, a great pitch, very, very clever, nicely presented deck, and obviously it kind of transmitted its message very efficiently. I'm not particularly interested in gaming, so I can't really make a value judgment on any kind of mobile gaming project. I've written about a few and I've discussed a few in the past. I've even made a couple of investments in some gaming projects, but it's not an area that I'm particularly fluent in. I think the pitch needs a bit of improvement. The deck and the statistics are quite convincing. Obviously, it's a massive sector with huge revenue potential, but again, very, very competitive and slightly crowded market. So if I was going to put my money on one to succeed, I'd say it's probably Zanpool, but I'd like to see more from what Medihash and the technologies are doing. It looked like a really, really good build. And I've got to go now because I've got an engineer at my home because the back wall of my house fell down during the storm. So I salute you all. Hope to speak to you all on LinkedIn, and thanks for inviting me. It's fantastic. Hope to see you all again.
Thank you very much, Christos. And Maher?
Yeah, I appreciated the 3 presentations. They are in 3 different domains. I'm not very much in gaming, and I think the gaming is very much about the user interface and how you interact with it. It's very difficult from a pitch presentation to say whether that will be successful or not. I was also missing a bit of figures about the business plan itself and whether that would be a big market or not. If I take the third one, which is about telemedicine, definitely this is the market, I would say, which is hot these days, and there is a lot to be done in this area, provided that the blockchain will be used properly. But the market have led to some unicorns in this area. There is a French unicorn which is has been there for only a few years, and it's now evaluated more than 1 billion, and they are in the telemedicine area as well. I was missing the business plan. It looks like the team is good, but the business plan, how much money we could make with it, how profitable is that, how that would definitely work. I think that was quite short. The pitch was short. The number two, which is the exam pool, this is the well presented. I think the language here helped as well compared with the other speakers. And the presentation of the business plan and the revenues increase, how the business model works, and so on. I felt confident that they have spent a lot of time on this. And that looks to be a well thought through business as well, which could expand very much in many, many countries. I have the feeling they have passed the stage of piloting and testing where that works, because they are already present in about 10 countries. So I would very much vote for that one.
Thank you very much, Maher and Sergei.
I'd say for every startups that have been pitching that I'd really want more clarity on the pitch deck, because to be honest, there wasn't, for example, I haven't seen precise, clear problem in either pitch decks. I mean, what problem are you solving? What are you trying? Why exactly are you trying to do this? Right? I mean, then the next step is what I wanted to be more clear for all the participants is actual, not the business model, because we can't have this on the, on a short presentation, all the details, but just a quick understanding. Okay, this is just, this is the amount of money you need to get to the point B. But I can't understand what's the point B and what is it you needed. So the whole road is not clear. So, for example, as for the gaming startup, I do believe that the team have good technical expertise, because they managed to put it on app stores, and the game is getting good reviews. But what you guys really need to work on is to have a much clearer message to the investors, because I, as an investor, it was impossible for me to understand what is it exactly you're doing. And I mean, apart from this is a game. I mean, but well, if it's just another game just with a crypto tag I'm investing in, then there is nothing new about it, right? So like everyone said, this is a very competitive market. I know a lot about mobile games. I work with PC, right? And I work with digital chocolates. I know a lot about gaming, and I know how much money you need to spend on marketing to get the games, your gaming up in the app stores. So that was hard to understand, and you really need to put into what markets are you targeting in. That's because you won't be able to target all the markets with your game. What markets are you looking into? As for the exam pool, it's a good startup. I mean, all financial startups have their financial figures better thought out, because, well, they are in finance, really. So about that, I really wish you guys were more precise about the problem you're currently solving, why you decide to put into fiat to crypto exchange. And the thing about you saying that you minimizing the transactions and the costs around zero. There are never such thing as zero costs. I mean, we all know that somewhere something is hidden and you probably might not be seeing it. So what I really want to hear, instead of there are zero costs for you, that what is the margin you're going to operate? Because what I get the impression of, that's the TransferWise business, Revolut business. They're not in crypto, but they're in, you know, mass transactions, financial transactions. What they're trying to deal with it, and you need to do massive amounts of financial transactions to get this thing going. So I want to get a more clearer understanding how you want to get this going, because Southeast Asia is a way harder market in terms of any online payments, right? A lot of people pay with cash, and there's still, I hope in this case, COVID will have positive impact in accepting the online payments, but there's still a long way to go. And as for the last startup, the medical math startup, I do believe the team is great. I mean, that was well lacking in the first presentation, because I haven't heard about the team a lot in the first two presentations. So the third pitching, yes, the team was looking good, but I haven't got the clear understanding what the pitch is about. I had the harder time to figure out, okay, guys, what is it you actually want to do? And I think that might be posing you know, a difficulty. So that's all my thoughts.
Thank you very much, Sergei and Gary. Could you unmute yourself, please?
What's that? Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I mentioned that, I mean, early on that, I mean, the pitches, you need to let us understand about your value proposition, what kind of problem you're solving, and on the other way around, what we can help you apart from just the capital and also other resources. This is a general comment. I think for the first project, Crypto Soul, although I've been, you know, receive a lot of game proposals, and you, in fact, you're tapping on $100 billion market, but I cannot see the value proposition that you're giving out. I just heard some keyword like addiction, but addiction for the good or for the bad, and what is in it for us in this COVID time. So this is something that I need to comprehend about you know, about your project. But of course, you have a good market, but set aside the blockchain technology, etc., etc. But the key is how you bring value to seize the market, you know, in your sector. That is very important. I got married for 22 years almost, and I got kids, and I got my wife. And although game is not really my cup of tea, but my fair comment to you is that whether addiction is for good or bad, the market is so great. Say if you have a game that is a blockchain driven, based on blockchain technology, but say if it is for the better aspect like education, or something that is good for people, or something that can actually bridge the social distance in terms of the gaming, instead of like, if I'm not mistaken, you count on like the IPR, and maybe you have the characters, you have the game, something like that. So that's why I think the first project I've discovered comment. So for the second project, the sand pool, right? The sand pool, of course, it is one of my most favorite, because when I see, of course, I know in depth about what is the market for that and what kind of value you're proposing. But the key is that you should not do it independently. You're not just looking for an investor, be it 1 million or 100 million. You are not just looking for an investor. I think from the group's point of view, this is very relevant to Swiss Capital Group, because we already set aside multi-billion of doing our ecosystem, including the gold standard cryptocurrency, gold standard central banking, etc., etc. And for you, whether it's called payment gateways or exchanges, whatever, this seems of high value to explore the synergy with the group. So that's why, be it you're looking for 1 billion or multi-million, I don't really care. I care about the value that you're proposing. Of course, you're just given a few minutes. And but of course, I understand a bit about the value that you're trying to propose. But and I'm looking forward to have more in-depth understanding and to explore the synergy, with the second project. And the third project, telemedicine, also fall into my eyes. Although, to be fair, you're just given a few minutes. You have a big market. I see that the market for the telemedicine should be as big, if not bigger, than the blockchain technology project. But you fail to actually present a very clear value proposition. The group and also myself, we do have good understanding about the telemedicine part, but the fact is that I hope you can bring about more value. What kind of problem you're solving? You have some and so that's why I'm also looking forward to understand also the third project. So my most favorite is the second one, and I think good for all of you. You're just given a few minutes, and to be fair, so good luck to all of you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. And we got the feedback of all the investor judges, and we've got all the evaluation forms. Now, today's winner is Jeffrey Liu Zampu for today's format of pitch competition. And all our judges, they have a link to their LinkedIn page as well as the projects. Please continue your discussions in one-to-one. And to get the feedback of the judges in more details, and if you can proceed to due diligence or more informal communication, please do so. And today we also have masterclasses from our investors at 4 p.m. UK time. Please join us for this fireside discussion, and thank you all for participation. And please generate your own formats of interaction between serial entrepreneurs and investors during this COVID times. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.